Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot is a quintessential example of absurd drama. But what makes it absurd? Let us discuss the topic in detail. The Hungarian-British dramatist Martin Eszlin wrote a book titled Theatre of the Absurd. Published in 1961, the book dealt with the dramatists who belonged to a movement called absurd theatre. However, there was no regular movement regarding theatre of absurd. Rather, it was a group of people who wrote plays without following the conventional rules. Eszlin saw the work of the concerned playwrights as giving artistic articulation to Albert Camus's philosophy that life is inherently without meaning, as illustrated in his work The Myth of Sisyphus, 1942. The group of the playwrights whose works came to be known as the absurd plays includes Samuel Beckett, Eugene Ionesco, Jean Genet, Edward Albee, and Harold Pinter. They have shattered the conventions and pioneered a new kind of drama, a drama which is above the categories of tragedy and comedy. Among them, Samuel Beckett was one of the revolutionary playwrights. His plays, as well as the so-called absurd plays, show the situation in which we are. They expose us in our existential predicament. Now, talking about the purpose of the playwright in writing these kind of plays. As an absurd play, Beckett's Waiting for Godot acclaimed much admiration. The play fulfills every requirement of an absurd play. It has no story, no characterization, no beginning nor any end. It contains unexplained themes, imitation of dreams and nightmares, and above all, it contains useless dialogues and a plotless plot. To discuss about the purpose of the playwright, it can be said that after the two world wars breaking the world into pieces, Beckett, with his plays like Waiting for Godot, All That Fall, Endgame, and Not I, tried to present the nihilistic concept, famously used by Friedrich Nietzsche, with the lifeless, aimless, and purposeless condition of peoples, which are the central theme of the play. If we take a look at the plot structure of the play, we can see that the play starts with waiting and ends with it. Repetitive plot structure can be seen throughout the play. Important conversations get started, but never get completed. Characters do not go anywhere. They stand still in front of audience and do nothing except some silly things to pass the time. The play lacks proper action. Actions of characters are not related to plot, but to themselves. Occasionally, when they were uncertain about doing anything, Vladimir and Estragon wanted to hang themselves with a tree. Take a look at the following dialogue. Estragon: what about hanging ourselves? Vladimir: it'd give us an erection. Vladimir and Estragon wait for Godot, and audience perceive that perhaps real story of the play will start after Godot's arrival, but Godot never appears on stage, nor is he introduced to the audience. And eventually, the play ends with waiting. Dialogues create action in every play. Action loses its depth without worthy dialogues. In case of Waiting for Godot, no action has been presented. Therefore, dialogues are boring, and they are written just to pass the time. For instance, Vladimir and Estragon started abusing each other by saying, Vladimir: moron. Estragon: vermin. Vladimir: abortion. Estragon: morpion. Their abuse, in the sense, has no proper meaning. It seems it is just the matter of passing the time. The phrase, nothing to be done, has been used numerously in the play. The line expresses the boredom, hopeless despair of the two tramps. Nothing is a word and idea that is central to Shakespeare's King Lear. Nothing will come out of nothing, echoing Parmenides' philosophical dictum, ex nihilo nihil fit. Lucky's speech during the first entry of Pozzo and Lucky is a hilarious mixture of sense and satire, mockery and ridicule of the concept of God and the egos of the great. Politicians, pundits, and preachers who try to impress and overwhelm their audience by obscure references to high-sounding authorities are mercilessly satirized through Lucky's long speech. Lucky's speech parodies such authorities by using comic and sometimes obscene names like Testu and Cunard, Puncher and Watman, Fartoff and Belcher. Academy, anthropopopometry. These words mock the academic institutions through the repetition of internal syllables. In an absurd play, the characters generally lose their identity. Waiting for Godot employs pairs of tramps as its characters. They are not introduced to the audience. We know only their names and their miserable situation. We don't know the past of the characters. Estragon and Vladimir are explicitly waiting for Godot, but it is not told to the audience that what purpose Godot will serve if he comes. Pozzo and Lucky become blind and dumb respectively. Therefore, the existence of Pozzo and Lucky is also absurd. Through the analysis of the play as an absurd drama, it can be concluded that Beckett uses the stage, each character, each word, each silence, and every detail in the play to create an uncomfortably barren atmosphere devoid of color and life. The play depicts the irrationalism of life in a grotesquely comic and non-consequential fashion, with the element of metaphysical alienation and tragic anguish. The play mocks at the futility of man's life and its meaninglessness. Life as well as death is treated as a joke. God is made a non-entity. There is nothing to do in man's life. If this video helped you in any ways, consider subscribing the channel. Thanks for watching.